Victory on three, victory on me. It's Victory Tuesday on the channel, so you know I had to get my brother, NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr., who covers the team, on the show. Lake Lewis, how you doing today?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Just getting ready for this big one on Thursday. Heading up to practice right now.
I know, extremely short week. It's like we don't even really get time to bask in Sunday's victory because we already got to start the prep for Thursday night.
Yeah, man. I mean, like literally, you talk about it the day of, the victory over the Giants, and then you think about what they're getting ready to go into. Everyone saw Green Bay against Detroit, so they know this is going to be a real test. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere there on Thursday, Rio.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a playoff atmosphere. We're going to talk about some of that Thursday matchup in just a little bit. Before we get to it, or we even get to Sunday's performance versus the Giants, Jayden Daniels' name has popped up on an injury list yesterday. Fans are clutching pearls and having heart attacks over that. I think you have to add an injury report immediately when you play on Thursday. So anyone who got any type of treatment has to be added to it. Lake, please give the fans an exhale and say there's nothing to see here.
I think Jaden's going to be just fine. Yeah, I think Jaden's going to be just fine. Naturally, we'll find out a lot today, with the real, to the point update. But I didn't see anything talking with Jayden after the game or, that led me to believe that he wouldn't be able to play Thursday. And let's face it, this guy's built for prime time. That's who he is. He relishes those moments. So unless we find out something today that is going to catch all of us off guard, I'm pretty certain Jayden's going to be playing on Thursday.
I'm pretty sure he is too. We saw that boy play with broken ribs and throw a 70-yard Hail Mary last year. It's going to take a lot to keep that guy off the field, but it definitely makes your stomach turn a little bit seeing Jayden's name and the wrist on his throwing hand on the injury report, but I believe there's nothing to see there. Thank you for letting us know, Lake, but we're going to be monitoring that all week. Washington came out 21-6 victory versus the New York Giants on Sunday. First things first, what was the atmosphere like at Northwest Stadium?
Oh, it was a buzz. I mean, in years past, as far as like the opposing team, especially Giants fans, it would have been a lot of blue all the way around the stadium. It was literally just blue behind the bench of the Giants. So obviously that's family and friends that got tickets. But for the most part, it was 75-25. Commanders fans, they were there. They were ready to be loud. And, when they scored early, that place erupted. Unfortunately, they didn't put a lot of points on the board as much as, 21's a lot. But the Giants were so bad, they could have hung 50 on these guys if they had held on to some passes and things like that.
Yeah, they definitely showed them some mercy and let them off the hook a little bit. 21-6 did not tell the full story. Washington definitely handled them, but it's week one. And week one, the Wackies and the Rust come out. It feels a little bit like a preseason game of sorts, but Washington's defense, they came to play immediately. Deron Payne and Kinlaw up front. All the new additions flash. Talk to me first about what you're seeing from that Washington defensive dominant performance on Sunday afternoon. Is that just because it's Russell Wilson, or did them boys just look the part?
They looked the part. And remember, I've been telling you all summer, this defense is looking good, man. And they're going up against Jayden every day. They're going up against Debo, now Terry. It's like when you have those kind of weapons on offense and Cliff Kingsbury, you're going up against one of the best offensive minds every day in practice. So if you're Joe Witt, you're going to get better, and vice versa. That's the key here. This defense is going to make Jayden and company get better every day in practice. So, yeah, they fit the part, man. I'm trying to tell you, Rito, this defensive line is so large. Joe Witt talked about that last week. I asked him about that in the press conference last week.
Yep.
They're so large and long lengthwise that Russell Wilson could not see past them. He couldn't see over them. Only thing he could do was try to run. So I think that they fit the part. Don't get me wrong. The Giants are bad now. They are bad. But I do believe that this defense has a chance to be a top 10 defensive unit this year. And I don't mean on the lower end of that 10 either.
Yeah, they looked very good on Sunday. For the third year in a row, the New York Giants did not score a touchdown on opening day. And we had Russ running for his life on Sunday. We did as good a job as you can do on a talent like Malik Neighbors. We had that boy hating life and looking very stressed out on the sideline on Sunday. It was just a complete performance. We didn't even get Frankie Louvu sighting on a pass rush standpoint, and the defense still had pressure. We didn't give up anything on the run. It was an A performance for the defense, for real, for real.
It was, and you think about the fact that they would have had the turnover, but it was called back obviously because they called a bogus unnecessary roughness on Bobby Wagner.
Oh,
Spoke with
bogus.
him about that. I spoke with him about that in the locker room afterwards, and it was like he didn't even hit him in the head. It was just the way they saw it. But with all that said, they didn't get a turnover. They kept the Giants out of the end zone, even though the referees tried to put the ball inside the red zone several times for the Giants, and they still couldn't capitalize. That defense, that was one of the best defensive performances we've seen in Northwest Stadium, or formerly FedEx, in a long time. And I don't think that that's just the beginning. I mean, the end of it all. I think that's just the beginning. And I think they're going to be so much better as things really start to gel. You have to think about the fact that their secondary, literally every play we watched, they weren't playing 10 yards off, Rio. So everywhere they tried to move Malik Neighbors to, there was a willing corner waiting for him.
Yes,
And
sir.
they tried to test Trey Amos once, and he did have the penalty the one time, but then
Mm-hmm.
the very next time they tried him, he was all over Malik Neighbors. So it's just like, now that you have these guys that are going to press you, it gives the defensive lineman in front of them a chance to roam. And you called it. Frankie was almost invisible on Sunday, at least as far as the stat line. Once he gets revved up and going, man, this
Mm-hmm.
defense has a chance to be really special.
Yeah, I love to see that. I love to see that we manufactured pass rush without Frankie Louvu having to be a part of it. Frankie Louvu just had tackles from a linebacker standpoint on Sunday and chasing guys down. But guys like Dietrich Wise, Dorrance Armstrong, and them boys on the inside, Kinlaw and Payne, that law firm was definitely open on Sunday. But I'm going to start there with the secondary. Marshawn Lattimore, he's still grabby. He's still good for a penalty or two, which we need to cut back on, but he looks healthy. And whenever he was tasked with Malik Neighbors, he held it down. Trey Amos held it down when he was running out there, and even Mikey Sanders still when they threw him in the slot. And Will Harris looks really, really good. He looks like a complete safety. And Quan Martin had a back-breaking turnover stolen from him on Sunday. That secondary was primed and ready to go week one.
Exactly. And then you got to talk about the depth of it, too. I mean, and then, of course, Jonathan Jones. I mean, so they're going to keep coming at you in waves. That's the one thing that you notice, not just with the secondary, but you notice all across that defense. They just come in waves. And Adam Peters really made it a point to, bring depth in and bring quality depth in. So yeah, I think the secondary by the end of the year has a chance to be a top five unit in the league. I mean, they could be the strength of the team, but then you think, okay, but the defensive line could be the strength. Then you think about the fact that you got two Pro Bowl linebackers, and you think about the fact that your offensive line now looks like they can do some things, and your receiving core. This is a loaded football team. It really is. But I think the defense this year might be the catalyst for them.
Yep, I think so too, man. I'm most excited because seeing the vision come true immediately. Adam Peters made three aggressive trades starting at the deadline. Marshawn Lattimore, Debo Samuel, Laramie Tunzel. He went out and signed Dietrich Wise, Will Harris, and Javon Kinlaw. And fans kind of questioned some of these moves in the direction we were going in. Seeing return on investment right out the gate, that is a good feeling as a fan.
Listen, brother, let me tell you, man, these guys are. Once again, it goes to show you, and I know people always say, "Oh man, you always hyping up Adam." I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. Like, Everything they do makes sense. It really does. And you see all the guys that they brought in. It wasn't, like Terry was getting double teamed. In years past, if Terry gets double teamed and only has two catches, you're probably going to be in trouble. But the fact that you got Jake, the fact that you have Debo opposite Terry, the fact that you have Jalen Lane in the slot, the fact that you have Zach Ertz, and then on top of that, oh, by the way, you got a young back that can take one to the house at any time. It just changes the whole dynamic of having to lean on one or two people in order to have a prayer. They don't need to do that anymore.
Nope.
And that's all because of the vision of Adam Peters and Dan Quinn as far as how they put together this football team.
Yep. And the biggest question fans had, because last year our priority signing, the only guy that got really multiple years and a big payday was Dorrance Armstrong. This year, Javon Kinlaw was that pick. He was the first signing on day one of free agency. And man, did he look dominant. That's as impactful as a defensive tackle looked since Daron Payne's contract year situation. And then you pair on top of that, Daron Payne plays the best I've seen him play in a long time. That looks dangerous up front, Lee.
That looked like how it was supposed to be with Daron and John Allen. That's what that was supposed to be back then. Look, Javon was getting double teamed and still breaking through the double teams. Now you saw Daron have a game. Daron was all over the place. That's the best I've seen him look since you got to go back to when he was playing for a contract a couple years ago.
Yep.
The irony is he's playing for a contract again now, and if he keeps playing like he did Sunday, then he'll be around here long term. It's just amazing to watch some of the moves that were made. Dedrick Wise, I mean, all over the place, making moves out there. So it's just, again, this is going to be a different defense, and their defensive front has a chance to be really special, where they can be disruptive and determine the outcome of games.
Yep, I agree. And man, Daron Payne, you can tell when he's feeling it. The body language is better. He's smiling. He's dancing. He's flying around. He's there in the run game. He's there in the passing game. I could not be more excited about this duo up front. And even when Johnny Newton got his snaps in as the rotational guy, he looked active out there as well. The interior group as a whole, they get an A+ from me on Sunday. Moving over to the edge side of things, Dorrance Armstrong, we've had the conversation. I've been saying that's the 10-sack guy. That's the double-digit sack guy on this team this year from a full-time position on the edge. Dedrick Wise is like the biggest edge rusher I've ever seen. He almost got a D-tackle build flying around on the edge. So we got him here to stop the run. Even he got Russell Wilson running around on Sunday. What did you see from Washington's edges?
Man, they set the edge, and that's exactly what they were brought in here to do. Like we talked about this, all summer. No, they didn't go out and get a Trey Hendrickson. They didn't go out, at the time and out Vegas. They didn't go out and get him either. So the point is that really wasn't their Achilles last year when you think about it, Rio. It was the fact that they couldn't stop the run. So now you've got these mammoth edge guys that can set an edge, so you're not going to run to the outside on them, and you're not going to run in the middle now with Kinlaw and Payne and Johnny Newton playing the way they are, Eddie Goldman as well. So now these guys can go out there and play free on the edges, and then think about Von Miller. You're going to have him, and it's going to get ramped up and revved up with him. Frankie's going to bounce back. That. So they've got everything they need to be disruptive and to generate a pass rush. But I think right off the bat, you saw Kinlaw. They were moving him all over the defensive line. And
all over the place.
Yeah, and you saw Dedrick Wise. Like you said, they can move him around. So remember, they talked about versatility. They talked about that last year. They want guys that can play multiple spots. That's exactly what they have now. And it's going to give offenses nightmares.
Yep, it's definitely going to give offensive nightmares. And I love what we're doing. We did not even get impact yet from Von Miller and Frankie Louvu. So just you wait till these boys really get geared up and clicking on all cylinders. From a linebacker standpoint, Frankie Louvu was more of a linebacker on Sunday. Bobby Wagner did what ageless Bobby Wagner does, 10 plus tackles. And we actually got to see Jordan McGee on a field on Sunday. Excited for that in 2025.
Yeah, Jordan McGee, like the speed, the athleticism that he has,
Mhm.
is something, man. It really is, and he's just going to get better and better, playing obviously with Bobby and with Frankie. And again, Frankie, you know, again, you don't need your Pro Bowl guys to always have to carry you now because they have so much depth and so many other guys that are going to contribute on a weekly basis. Again, the thing that I was excited to see was Bobby Wagner looked like Bobby from Seattle. And the reason for
Mhm.
that was because he's got that size in front of him now. So now there's no more running straight to Bobby and having, a 35-year-old
Nope.
have to make all these plays.
It's a
Um,
fact.
so now he can kind of hide behind those guys, and he's so smart. He already anticipates and knows where the ball's going to go. So now you're going to see a much faster looking Bobby Wagner because of what's in front of him. And you saw that. That guy was all over the place on Sunday.
He sure was, man. I feel good as a fan that I don't have to concern myself with the linebacker room. Bobby Wagner going to hold down the fort till he's 100 years old. Frankie Louvu, while he wasn't getting after the passer, he was making tackle. He missed a couple early, but he started to find himself later in the game. And seeing Jordan McGee on an NFL Sunday, that makes me happy. The safety room, Quan Martin was robbed of a turnover. Jeremy Reeves was robbed of a turnover. They called it an incomplete pass because the player did not make an athletic move. And Will Harris was a demon in the pass and the run game. Even Percy Butler flashed when he got there on defense. And he's a demon on the special team side of things. That safety room impressed me on Sunday.
Yeah, man. I mean, Will Harris set the tone. I think we know that he's a great cover safety. He covers tight ends with the best of them. Works with Zach Ertz every day in practice. That's a battle for everyone to see. But he came up and put some wood on some folks. He came up, blasted Russell
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, dislodged the ball from him. Russell recovered
Yep.
it, but Will Harris was setting the tone. And I said afterwards in my post game, after the game on the field, I was like, Jeremy who? Because literally,
Mm-hmm.
I remember Adam Peters telling us, you're going to like Will Harris quite a bit. That's my guy already. Got to forge a decent relationship with Will already. He's just a good dude, man, a smart football player, a team guy. And, he was shaken up on one play. And it was amazing to see all the guys come over to make sure he was good, and that goes to show you that he's already, in the intricate part of the locker room, and those guys love him. They love his leadership qualities.
Yep. Will Harris looked the part, man. Jeremy Chin, who, man, he had a good season for us last year, but I'll tell you this. There were times, a lot of times, where Jeremy Chin was a liability in coverage. Will Harris was locking stuff down, and he laid the wood on Russell Wilson. We may not have been credited with a turnover yesterday, but we knocked two balls out that should have been ruled. Well, one should have been recovered from us, and one should have been a turnover later in the game when Jeremy Reeves knocked it out. And so we had three safeties involved in what should have been turnover. That Quan Martin interception looked like more of what we saw last year versus Detroit, versus Atlanta. And he got about 40, 45 yards on the return. So I'm glad to see that some guys are liking nice things. The biggest thing this defense can do this year is give Jayden more opportunities with the ball. So while we were not credited with a turnover, I like that we had the tenacity and the fortuitiveness to force them. We're knocking balls out and we're catching interceptions when they're thrown at us. And certain quarterbacks are going to give you opportunities. Russ at this age is going to do so. Jordan Love is also going to do so as well. So to close out the defensive side of things, that's an A plus type grade to start the season. They haven't held a team without a touchdown in 5 years. It was the COVID 2020 season. Are you giving the defense an A plus on Sunday, Lake?
I'm giving them an A. I'm giving them an A. And the
Just an
reason why
A. Okay. Okay.
plus is because, yes, the
No
turnovers,
turnovers. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they did have them, but they were called back. but they were
Yes,
called
sir.
back because of something that they did to prohibit that. So,
Hmm.
and of course, the zebras were in on it too. But I give them a solid A. Obviously, you know, they can get better too, and that's the scary part because a
Yep.
defense like that getting better is going to be a problem for a lot of teams on that schedule this year.
Yep. And they're going to have to confirm what they did on Sunday because obviously the naysayers that are praying for our downfall, they're going to tell us that we played against a bad O line without Andrew Thomas and a rinsed, washed, and tumbled dry Russell Wilson. But they're going to
They
get
want
an
to
A
take it
plus.
before the game, Rio, because I'm gonna tell
Yep.
you right now, a lot of people popping up in my timeline telling me that the Giants were winning, and a lot
Same.
of people were predicting the Giants to beat Washington, as if
Foolish.
they forgot Washington
Hmm.
wasn't a fluke. Well,
Nope.
people are gonna find that out now.
People going to find out real soon about the Washington Commanders, but we're going to switch gears to the offensive side of the ball. But before we do so, here's a word from today's sponsor, the best fantasy app in the world, Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy. Football has never been more exciting than it is with players like Jayden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Jamar Chase. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to a 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big using promo code RIO91. That was promo code RIO91 and you'll get up to a $100 match bonus on your first deposit. Terms and conditions may apply. Rio91 on Sleeper. Let's win us some money when we go up to Lambeau on Thursday. But the offensive side of the ball, the themes continue as far as new additions to the team immediately reaping benefits. Washington made a trade of their starting running back. And to folks outside of this area, that was a big surprise. It didn't surprise us though, Lake. So did it surprise you at all what Bill got off to on Sunday?
No, not at all. And you know what was crazy? Like we started hearing last week, seeing stuff out there that he wasn't going to play, or
Inactive.
and I'm like, man, if y'all don't cut that mess out. And I remember going up to him, last Thursday and telling him, hey, man, you're not playing, huh? He's like, where's this stuff coming from? I said, bro, don't pay attention to that nonsense. He said, of course I'm playing. Literally, I had people saying, no, they are saying that he's, and I'm like, who the hell is they? I'm
Yeah.
there every day. I talk to him. He's playing. And I knew he was going to have a big role. You and I both know that's RB1. There's no doubt
Yes.
about it. But
Mm-hmm.
they don't need him to be running back with the first play one. They don't
Mm-hmm.
need that. They just need him late in games, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to wear you down. Austin Eckler made huge plays. Had the one mistake and followed it up with one of the toughest runs you'll ever see.
Running
Um,
everybody over.
Running everybody. That was an angry my bad run. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you think about that. You think about the fact that Chris was on inactive for the game. That kind of surprised me. I'm not gonna lie about that. But we were starting to hear grumblings throughout the week that they're probably just gonna go with three backs. So that's why people were like, "Oh well, it's gonna be Bill." No, 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 no. He'll
Nah.
never be inactive unless he's hurt.
Yeah, that narrative was foolish. I don't know why we were peddling that. It was actually some people that were, that work with you at the park that were kind of floating these narratives out there.
It was, and I'm like, bruh, just he wasn't happy about that. I actually started the presser on Sunday with that, like, so much for not playing, right? I
I
mean,
see
listen,
what you be doing,
this
like.
guy gives the offense. He gives the offense a boost, man. Something that they haven't had in a long time. And when you got to worry about Jalen's legs, as far as him taking off on you, and now you got Debo going in motion. Trust me when I tell you, every time Debo went in motion, Cliff was just setting up stuff for later on in the year, just
Yeah.
giving people things to think about because now you can just hand it off to this guy, to Bill, and he's capable of popping one. The only reason he didn't take that one to the house was because the safety already had the angle on him. Other than that, though, he's taking that to the house.
Oh, that and because 17 did not block on that play. But, he getting back up to speed. I ain't going to hold Terry too accountable for that. But if 17 gets his hands on his man, he may have a foot race with a safety, and I'm taking Bill in that every time.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, there was so much that they could do that, offensively, well, they will get better, but they
Mm-hmm.
still, this is how you know a good football team. Yeah, I mean, I could just use the Eagles and Cowboys as an example in that first game. The Eagles didn't play good, but they still
Nope.
won the game.
Yep.
And Washington offensively, there were a lot of drop passes. There were some missed timing on the deep ball with Terry. You know that's
Mm-hmm.
coming. That they'll
Yeah.
get that fixed real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And when those things start popping, now you're starting to talk about an offense living in the 30s as far as
Yep.
numbers. And with that defense looking the way they did, I'm not so sure that defense is going to be giving up 30-point games to anybody. You have to like Washington's chances now is to be one of the preeminent teams in the NFC to get to a Super Bowl.
21-6, 3 touchdowns on the day. We did not have to rely on Matt Gay to kick any field goals, and we left a lot of meat on the bone. But before we get to Washington's missed opportunities and even the emergence in the debut of Deebo Samuel Sr., we got to talk about Bill a little bit more. I'm happy for this guy. We no longer have to sit here and preface everything about him by starting by saying it's a 7th-round pick. That's a starting running back. You see it. I've never been more excited about a 10 carry performance in my life. 10 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Could have took a 42-yarder to the crib as well, and it didn't take long at all to see why fans, media, and this team was high on this guy. In a year where they only had 5 draft picks, they had to be very efficient about who they were selecting, and they really liked this guy during the process. We might have found gold and have our running back for the long term as a 7th-round pick. And Washington fans, do your part. Bill will be on the ballot. He's on the ballot right now for Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week. I know Emeka Ibuka scored 2 touchdowns yesterday. I do not care. Do exactly what we did last year with Jayden Daniels. Run it up, get them votes in, and let's bring that belt back to DC, man.
Yeah, I mean, Omeka, look. I mean, he looked incredible. Let's just
He
call it
did.
like it is.
He did. He
He
did.
looks amazing. But Washington was supposed to be going up against this vaunted defense, this
Oh my
this
God, the
vaunted front,
Giants.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
be able to do anything. And I'm like, really, man? Like, Rio, it looked just like it did last year. The same thing. So now
Mm-hmm.
people making excuses. Oh, the Giants are bad, blah, blah, blah. Nah, you can't have it both ways. So this kid came out, gashed them, ran tough in between the tackles, too, by the way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we both know that had he played his senior year at Arizona, this guy would have been a 4th-round draft pick at worst. Um, so Washington got a steal. Once again, kudos to Adam Peters for having some vision and foresight to see that this guy wasn't a 7th-round talent.
Yeah, man. This dude, he just looks the part. He's a violent cutter. He runs with aggressiveness. He's sudden. He's quick twitch. He's fast as hell. Like even on the touchdown where they opened up a whole side for him to run through, it took a violent cut in the backfield for him to get to the hole.
I was going to say, he had somebody face down in the dirt on that cut, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you this: when I watch him, he reminds me. He's eerily similar to me to Clinton when Clinton was in Denver. That's who
Mm-hmm.
I see. I see
Ooh.
like a poor man's Clinton Portis, literally.
Okay.
And you watch him once he gets, even stronger because he's already strong. Like this is not a little dude, by the way.
At
That's the
all.
other thing. Like people thinking that Washington got them a scat back. That's fast. Nah, man. This guy is put together and he's
Mm-hmm.
still just a kid. Once he adds 5, 6, 7 pounds of muscle on him to go already on his frame, Washington got them something. They have them a star in the making. I truly believe that. And these are the type of things you have to remember. He's in his first year. Jayden's in his second year. Josh Connolly's in his first year. They've got young guys that you can grow with here that make this thing scary.
They sure do. They sure do. And Bill is going to be an integral part of this offense. And that's just the 10 carry Bill. They had Austin Eckler in for like a whole quarter. I'm sitting back as a fan, like, all right, man, where 22 at? And as soon as 22 got on that field, you saw a whole bunch of 22. I respect.
Not to cut you off, Rio, but you know who else came in and had some nice carries too was Jeremy.
Yeah, he did.
He
He did.
came in, so it wasn't a drop off. Like they just kept coming. That's what I'm saying. They're coming in waves at you this year. Give God rest, somebody else comes in, and that guy's gonna pick up too. So Jeremy McNichol, shout out to him because he came in, got a couple touches, and ran hard. So they're setting people up for something here. I'm telling you.
And Austin Eckler as well. But not to mention, the quarterback had 70 rushing yards, and that is 70 of the easiest and forgettable rushing yards you will ever see because Jayden picks his spots. And on third down and in long to go situation, Jayden is a cheat code. The only reason he didn't finish with 70 yards is because he took two kneel downs in victory formation and lost 2 yards. So he ended up with 68 on the day. When your quarterback spotting you 60 to 70 rushing yard, your rookie's giving you 80. Austin Eckler's giving you 20, 25. Jeremy McNichol's giving you 20, 25. How do you stop that offense? Not to mention, Jayden wasn't even on his best shit throwing the football and still finished with over 230. And we left a deep ball, a deep over to Debo, and some more stuff to Zach Ertz on the field.
But
This offense, when it gets going, it's going to be dangerous.
yeah, your most dynamic offensive talent outside of your quarterback only had 2 catches because they were
Yep.
trying to double team him. So now it's like trust me, they gave Green Bay something to think about. Like, man, are we gonna do this plan like everybody else has done over the years? Double team Terry and nobody else is there. Like, I said this morning. I had to do my thing on ESPN Radio this morning, and I said I think that Jalen Lane is going to have a huge game Thursday night. Mark my words, because you don't know who to cover. You don't know who to pick your poison with, and he's going to be the guy that's going to be running free on people. So watch out for him on Thursday.
I can see it. And Jayden threw one a little bit too high for him at one point of the game. Jayden, someone in the chat yesterday said, "Hey, Rio, everybody got to relax. Jayden getting used to having the new guns. It's a gun show out there. Him and Cliff been hitting curls at the facility at 5 a.m. every day. But it's week 1. Jayden did not throw a pass in the preseason, and there were times Sunday where it looked like it. But as I look league-wide and watch condensed versions and red zone copies of all the other games played, even when this guy is not on, he's still better than about 89% of the league. Like,
he was the best player on the field. And there's no
Still.
questioning that. He still was the best player on the field. And I'm going to say it. And it wasn't even by a close margin. It was by a wide margin. This guy does what he wants when he wants. If you take away the drop passes and some of them that were a little higher than normal, they still were all catchable balls. And that's the thing. He didn't put anything out there to be intercepted or a chance of being intercepted.
Nothing was in harm's way.
Absolutely. He even took some big hits from the Giants and bounced right back up instantly. So that weight that he put on helps him. I'm just telling you, man, this guy is, as the young folks say, this guy's loading for an MVP type of season, man. You can see it. He still got the LFG, player of the game.
Big Brady. Brady loves him, by the way.
Oh, my God, bro. He loves him. And bro, I've been trying to tell people what we are seeing with Jayden Daniels, to me, is we're seeing Lamar and Tom Brady merge together. That's what we're seeing.
That's one. That's scary.
That's what I'm seeing, at least. This guy's fearless, man. And he literally was not genuinely happy about the win because he's not comfortable with just beating you. This guy really does have that Mamba mentality. He wants to snatch your soul from you on the field.
He's a killer, Lake. He's a killer. He is looking Bama's in their eyes and smiling at them while they're chasing him down, Lake.
You see that picture, man? Like, come on, bro. Like that's sick, man. Like, laughing at you, you can't get me, man. Seriously. That's That's what you want. That's what we've been dreaming of around here for years. Even look, I'm old enough to I obviously remember the Super Bowls. They
Mhm.
were collectively just torching people with those Super Bowl teams. But Jayden to me might be the closest thing to a John Riggins moment where you knew 44 was getting the football and there was nothing you could do about it because he was going to run you over and that offensive line was going to wear you down. So it's kind of like a moment.
Right.
Aiden's doing those every play. These guys don't want to play against this kid, I'm telling you, because they know
Mhm.
no matter what they game plan for, he can flip the script on you just like that.
Anytime, in any given moment. And I love the Mamba mentality. That boy started every post game scrum and media appearance by saying, yeah, we were sloppy today. We left something out on the field. Zach Ertz, yeah, 21. Yeah, that's not going to cut it for her. They looking at 21 points like it's chump. They don't care that it's week one. They don't care that they didn't play in the preseason. They're looking at 21 points like, nah, we could have gave them boys 37 easy today. And even on a day where Jayden didn't have his best stuff, he still looked phenomenal. That throw to Chris Moore, maybe two other quarterbacks in this league, he didn't break stride, Lake. He's going full speed to the right side, rolling, did not break stride, throws it to Chris Moore. Chris Moore, a guy who fans were traumatized seeing activated and elevated for Sunday's game. That was such a big time throw.
Yeah, man. And it was almost like, one of those throws you just wow. And kudos to Chris Moore because he did make the catch too,
Mhm.
and kept his feet in. But I'm telling you, man, like you watch Jayden, I did not think he had a bad game at all. I thought he
He
had a
didn't.
really good football game.
He didn't.
And then people were like, "Oh, he struggled, man." No, 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 no. There's a difference between struggling and a difference between being off, timing wise or a little rusty because you haven't worked with, in a game situation with Terry in a while. Those things happen. Listen, he was getting the ball to new people. I
He
mean,
was.
Debo, Jalen
Hey.
Lane,
Mhm.
Corey, these are all new people, man. His tackles are new. Um, I just think that I think what's happened, man, is that Washington, because they came up so fast last year, there's a lot of haters out there. There are a lot of
A whole
people that,
bunch.
you know, don't want to give this guy his due. Like he's not really a top five quarterback.
Mhm.
Yes, that's just false. This guy could be higher than that. And I think you're going to start seeing that with the schedule that they have and the quarterbacks they're going to face. I'm telling you, we talked about it, you and I. Is he
Yep.
ever going to be the worst quarterback on the field? The
No.
only game that you can conceivably just say, yes, that guy's better. And it's not because you don't think Jayden has a chance to be better, but Patrick's more proven. So that's what you
Mhm.
play at Kansas
And
City.
I tell you who looked better in week 1, it was Jayden Daniels for sure, undoubtedly without a question.
Right. Patrick struggled. Like, that's not the game I worry about, like on the schedule. Like now I'm looking at this Green Bay game, like this game right here is gonna be one of them ones. And
Mhm. Playoff
if
field.
if he goes up in there and does what Jayden does, Jayden rises to the occasion. That's the other thing. Don't think that these guys, and I hate to use this analogy, but sometimes when you know you better than somebody, you try and get out of Dodge without being injured and all that.
Bingo. Bingo. And I'm glad you said that because that brings me to what I was going to get to next. Washington didn't do the over aggressive going for fourth down things on a regular basis. The way I feel about it is because it was not a necessity versus the New York Giants.
Yes,
They did not feel like they had to worry about the offense on the other side. That and we didn't necessarily have the fastball on offense. We didn't need to pull out going for four. Why didn't we go from 4th and 2 on the 50? Because Russell Wilson and that offensive line does not concern us. So back them up against their own end zone. That's why.
absolutely. When Andrew Thomas was announced as inactive, I was like, yeah, man, it's
Long
going to be
day.
a day. It's going to be a long day.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if you go by betting standards, they blew the Giants out.
Mm-hmm.
21-6. They blew them out. The spread was 6.5, which I
Yep.
thought was extremely low. um, it was 6.5. They doubled it. So come on, man. People have to give credit where credit was due. They did not need to do everything that they're probably going to need to do Thursday night. So now you'll have a better barometer of where you are in week two. But if they were to go into Green Bay, and not to stray around here, but if they were to go into Green Bay and lose the game, the season's not over. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
not a
started.
panic.
But I'll
Hmm.
tell you this: if they go into Green Bay and win, which I'm
Hmm.
predicting they will,
Me too.
I think you're gonna have to stop this rhetoric of, like, I saw a odds thing came out after week one. Washington has the um, fifth best chance to win the NFC.
Woo!
Best.
Let's
That's
go.
that's lunacy.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't care
wild.
what the metrics say. That's absolute lunacy
That's
because
garbage.
there are not five other quarterbacks in the NFC better than this guy, running Washington. So stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, yeah. There's not a chance we're the fifth best team in the. Yeah, they're wilding, but it's okay. This is Thursday is a statement game. We're gonna talk about that in a few minutes as well. But we got a couple more pieces to touch on the offense. I'm gonna rate by his standard that Jayden had a B- game, but we have a top five quarterback who is gonna be in the MVP discussion, if not win the MVP in 2025. So even on a day where his fastball was not hitting, we left that Terry deep ball on the field like we did last year, week one. Terry only been at practice for 2 weeks. It's all good. We're gonna hit it next week.
Right.
Left a couple to Debo, one to Lane, one to Ertz, and versus this great defensive line, still gave you 230 yards through the air. No turnovers or really turnover worthy plays, 70 yards on the ground, 300 yards of offense and a touchdown, no turnovers, 21 points, didn't have to settle for any field goals. That's a B- performance. Just imagine when he's hitting those couple plays that we left on the field on Sunday. That's an A+ every time when he does.
I give Jayden a B for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Borderline close to a B plus. I
Mm-hmm.
just look at little things like, did his eyes go everywhere they needed to be?
Mm-hmm.
Did
Was he
he
getting
have
it out his hands fast? Yep.
Yeah, did he have full control of the tempo of the game? Did he dictate to the Giants what was going on? And the answer to all of that is yes, resoundingly yes.
Mm-hmm.
He literally did what he wanted to, and whenever a play needed to be made, he made the play.
He did.
So again, I don't think you can look at Jayden and say, that he didn't play well. He played extremely well. There was some drop passes, there was some missed timing on some, but again, game was never in doubt, never in jeopardy, and you knew if he had to win the game on a final play, you believe that he can do that too. So I give him a solid B.
Solid B. I love it, man. And the bar is only going up from here. Joe Burrow threw for 118 yards on Sunday. Jalen Hurts threw for 150. Dak threw for 188. And don't get me started on the rookie class because Penix played straight, but they lost. Bo Nix was pissing the ball all around the field, and Caleb Williams looked like garbage last night on Monday Night Football. So we can't really relate to the rest of the 20. Whoa, shout out to JJ McCarthy for having a phenomenal fourth
About to
quarter.
say, JJ McCarthy showed. You know what I love about JJ? He shows that fire, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference to me between him and Caleb. Frankly,
Yep.
Caleb, the body language is back. Front running. Was
He
ten for
looks like
10 to start.
he looks mentally flustered on the field.
He does, and he shows that. And I can't have my leader, my quarterback, doing that
Nah.
because everybody else is going to play off that. But you saw
Mm-hmm.
how Minnesota responded to JJ.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody and their mother was coming up to him when he led them back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff that you build off of, and we saw that all last year with number five.
Yep.
Um, Guys respond to that, and that's the thing. Did you not notice the calmness of Washington on Sunday?
It
Like,
was.
just as a unit, it was almost like when they couldn't get it going, the defense was making plays. You just never felt like the Giants legitimately could go toe to toe with these guys. If this
Never.
was a boxing match, this was like Bud Crawford feeling you out early and then getting
Mm-hmm.
ready to just beat up on you for the rest of the fight. That's what Washington did to the Giants. they beat up on the Giants. They made
Yep.
no doubt about it. They're a superior football team to the
Mhm.
Giants.
And even when the game felt closer than it needed to be, they never had that Washington moment where they falter and they give in and let the game flip and let the momentum turn upside down. And that was my favorite part about Sunday's game. Debo Samuel's debut was a beautiful one in DC. We left some stuff out on the field. He still had 7 catches for 77 yards, a 19-yard run, and that jet sweep put the punctuation mark on Sunday's game. Boy, do Jayden and Debo have a good connection already.
They really do. And I kept saying the saving grace for Terry not being in
Same.
was that
Mm-hmm.
it allowed for Debo to run it number
Mm-hmm.
one, to learn the playbook inside and out. So now he has an appreciation for the things that Terry was going to do and still will do. And Terry can have an appreciation for having a true alpha on the other side of him.
Yep.
So there's not going to be too many games like Terry had on Sunday where he's getting double teamed now because teams see, that they're not going to be able to do that. So now you're going to have Terry one-on-one on people. He's going to body that person up. Debo's going to have one-on-ones. He's going to body that person up. It's so refreshing to see. And Debo looks motivated and he's happy. That's the thing fans don't realize. They may see him thinking that he's got a lot to prove. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's already a great football player. But I think what I can assure people of, he's happy. He's cool with his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
He loves being here. And that kind of stuff, man, boy, you saw in that run, he was
Yep.
not denied. People were bouncing off him like a pinball machine. Like,
Yep.
you're going to see a lot more of that.
A lot more of it because you could see that they were hinting at that play the whole game and they brought it out at the right time. That was the right cross to finish the fight. You made a Bud Crawford that was that. That was the counter
Yes.
punch. They had set that up all day and ran it. And oh my God, the blocking on that play. Laramie Tunzel looking like young Trent out there in the open field. John Bates is the best blocking tight end in the league. And even Bill is pitching out a block out there. This team just gets it, Lake.
Yeah, man. That's the thing that impressed me. The wide receivers were blocking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were really getting after it. And it's just this team went from last year being kind of kind of a finesse type team,
Yep.
to they literally overnight now are a physical football team.
Sure are.
This is the San Francisco circuit that Adam Peters came from.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that. And they did this in the trenches. They did all this to battle the Eagles. But the thing is, Rio, they got playmakers now on the outsides. So on both sides, corners and all these receivers and backs and stuff. It's just exciting to see this. I cannot wait till Thursday because now you're going up against already a top five defense, and then you add one of the best defensive players in the league. Green Bay has every intention of finishing the year as the number one ranked defense. Well, Washington has a chance to be up there too. They really have that kind of talent on their defense.
They really do. And to round out the offensive side of things, talk to me about that O line because we've heard all off season and all week about how the Giants have the most ferocious front in the league, and they held it down. Josh Connerly had some growing pains in this game, as you expect with a 21-year-old player. Laramie Tunzel looks impenetrable on the left side of the offense. Brandon Coleman looks like a future Pro Bowl guard. Tyler Biadasz does what Tyler Biadasz does, and even Nick Allegretti was getting active. That O line looked great on Sunday.
Yeah, for everything that was great with for everything that was great with as far as the tackles, I'm going to come out and say I think the offensive lineman that played the best game was Tyler. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to think who he had across from him most of the game, Dexter Long.
Lawrence. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear Dexter's name at all. I mean,
Nope.
what did he finish with? 3 tackles on the
Yep.
day? I don't even remember the
Mm-hmm.
3 tackles. That's the
Don't none of
irony
it.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Tyler to me was the guy that really should get a lot of the love, on that offensive line. Much so, I mean, don't get me wrong, Laramie Tunsil was manhandling guys. Josh Conley, great first game. Brandon Coleman looked excellent as a guard, and Allegretti looked good too. And a couple weeks, a month from now or so, you're gonna get Sam Cosmi back out there. This offensive line, man, woo-wee, they got a chance to be a top 5 unit at the end of the day.
They do. And I've heard it from Brian Baldinger and I've heard it from a couple other people. Chad Ford, everyone's talking about Washington's offensive line. Them hogs up front are moving. And that's dangerous because you give Jayden more time to operate. Like even on a play where Jayden on the QB draw runs into his lineman, he just ricochets right off him and still gets a chunk play. The offensive line did their part on the big Bill runs. They're opening up gaping holes in the defense. I cannot wait to see what this thing looks like when the offense takes the next step. So your offensive cumulative grade for Sunday afternoon was a what?
My offensive grade for Sunday, I'm going to go B minus.
Mm-hmm.
And people keep saying they had a bad game. No, they didn't. They did what they needed to do. They still put up 21 points. And, there were so many things that obviously they can talk about need to be cleaned up. But when your offense is capable of putting up 21 points on a divisional team, and that
Mm-hmm.
really does have a formidable defense, if anything.
Yep.
You got to give credit where credit is due. You had a rookie back get 82 yards rushing. It had an 8.2 yards per average, popped
Mm-hmm.
off a 42 yarder, scored. You have Austin Eckler doing there. You have Samuel doing what he was doing. Jalen Lane, Jackson scored. I mean, come on, man. And you did this without your number one weapon, offensive weapon, outside of Jayden, of course, only having 2 catches.
Yep.
I mean, that's not a bad performance, man. That means everybody stepped up. So I'm going to say that they had a B minus performance.
Yep. A B minus performance. The major thing that I will point to is even though I didn't agree with all of them, we got to clean the penalty shit up because 12 penalties is egregious and that's not going to work versus a good football team that will make you pay for giving up 90 penalty yards.
Yeah, and that's kind of a carryover from the preseason,
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly. Like they were, go back to that Ravens game, there was a lot of penalties. You go back to the New England preseason game, there was a lot of penalties, and you can't have that. You just can't. The Cincinnati game, lots of penalties, and they were big ones on the first drive in the Cincinnati game with your starters. Frankie
Mm-hmm.
Louvu jumped off sides in that game. Then
Yep.
you had Noah get the pass interference in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So you just can't have that because the play with Bobby, I thought it was a questionable call, but you get that interception, you could tell the floodgates were ready to open up and the
Oh
Giants were
my God.
back in. That was a momentum backbreaker, and for it to go
Mm-hmm.
against you, you can't have that. Also, a little being unorganized. Remember at the end of the first half, they had the penalty that happened, and you get the runoff. So you didn't
Mm-hmm.
even get a chance to kick a field goal. You go in at halftime with that field goal. If you put that through, pretty much 17-3 games over because the Giants can't score on you. So
Yep.
yes, they got to clean up a lot in that regard. But I think they'll do that because one thing about these guys, they're a smart group of guys. They care about these things. So I think they'll get it cleaned up for sure.
I think they'll get it cleaned up as well. We left them off the hook. We showed them mercy. We're gonna hit on that Terry deep. First of all, Terry routed dude up on that deep ball on that double move, and they just got to get the timing back right. Terry only been back at practice for 2 weeks. They're not gonna miss that again. Jayden never broke his smile. He's throwing passes without breaking his stride. The offense is nothing we ever need to be concerned with. And I love that we're here at a point where the standard is so high for the offense that 21 points, we laugh at it. No, we could do way better than that. I remember a couple years ago, we were averaging 18 points a game, Lee.
I was going to say you prayed for 21 points, a couple years back. And now people are scoffing at it like that's all they did. They didn't have a good game. Listen, they did enough to win the football game. They did enough to get out the game without harm's way, and more importantly, it was a divisional win. So there's nothing to be upset about. they're going to get this thing together. And like I said, they normally rise to the occasion.
They do.
So to me, I expect them to do much better against the Packers, and ironically against a much better defense too.
I expect them to do better too. So before I let you get out of here, because I know you're still on the way to the park for practice or Big Bear AI Performance Center, my bad. But we're going to talk briefly about some of the matchups and how does Washington fare against this Green Bay Packers team. But before we do that, here's a quick word from our sponsor at SeatGeek. Get your tickets at SeatGeek using promo code RIO10. I've been looking to find the best deal on Washington Commanders tickets for the 2025 season, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. The NFL is right around the corner and MLB is in full swing. I love using SeatGeek. Recently used it, lock in my training camp tickets. Most notably, I was at the Grand National Tour with my son, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA at Northwest Stadium. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I had to come through for y'all using promo code RIO10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code RIO10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically sent to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring this video. We go into a place where Washington has not won a game since 1988, and that stat does not deter me or bother me at all from picking us to win this game Thursday late.
Yeah, man. I just, there's so many things I broke down yesterday that go in Washington's favor, even going into that, into the Shrine, literally, because Lambeau Field, historic place, it's loud, it's a boisterous crowd. They're feeling really good, as they should, about what they saw Green Bay do to Detroit.
Yep.
Anything short of witness protection, because Detroit looked manhandled. So I think that the things that go into Washington's favor is you got to look into the division, the NFC North. You can't use J.J. McCarthy as part of this analogy because Green Bay hasn't played J.J. McCarthy. But if you go back to the years past, they haven't played against too many mobile quarterbacks. They've played against a stationary Matt Stafford for years, and then obviously Jared Goff recently in Detroit. Then you have to go back, you look at Minnesota, Sam Darnold wasn't running around on anybody. And then in Chicago, Caleb Williams, yeah, he can move around and stuff like that, but they don't want him to do that. So you look at Jayden and what he presents. The best type of quarterback that you need to be able to handle a really good pass rush is a guy that can evade that pass rush. And that's where Jayden comes in. And I'm telling you, I think that's going to be a big part of this game against the Packers. Now, naturally, Mike and they're already were good. Rashawn Gary's great. But I also think the good thing, too, is that Washington is familiar with Micah Parsons. And if you go back, I know there's that stat out there that Micah's got 10.5 sacks against Washington in his career, 4-year career. Well, 3 of those years, he wasn't going up against anybody. Let's call it like it is. Now, last year, you go back to last year, they did a decent job on overall. So I think Washington comes into
He was hunting, though.
more weapons,
He was hunting. He was hunting.
Line, I think to be able. Oh my God, yes. So they come into this game with better things to neutralize that great Green Bay defense, and that defense is great. But I think this game comes down to, once again, who's the better quarterback on the field? Don't tell me it's Jordan Love because he's home. Jordan Love's a really good quarterback.
And I like Jordan Love.
Daniels. And I think I like Jordan Love quite a bit. He's really good. But he's no Jayden Daniels. And it's okay to say that. And for people who are watching this who think that we're just, homering and because I covered him and you're a fan of him. Man, no, man. If you think Jordan Love's better than Jayden Daniels, then there's nothing I can do for you, man. you, you might need to up the man. So I'm just being upfront about it.
Like it's wild, but I agree. And I look at this matchup. The Packers had a very impressive performance versus the Lions. I think the Lions are going to take a little bit of a step into reality after losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And the Packers were all over them on Sunday. The Packers were not dominant on offense by any means. That was a defensive dominant performance. Jordan Love only had to throw for 188 yards. He threw for a couple touchdowns. Josh Jacobs was under 70 yards, but he scored a touchdown. But the Lions still dominated them in time of possession. And if they allow us to do that, if we get a 35-24 split of time of possession, it's going to be a long day for the Green Bay Packers because we don't have a stationary quarterback like Jared Goff. You can't just sit back and hunt Jayden like you did Jared Goff on Sunday. And I think their cornerbacks don't put any fear in my heart. I like our chances on Thursday night. It's starting to feel like it felt going into that Bengals game last year.
Absolutely. And, the other thing is, so I'm pulling into the facility, Rio. They have the worst signal over here. I'll just say, I think for this football game, it's going to be a really good football game between two really good teams, two obvious teams that feel like they have Super Bowl aspirations. I'm taking Washington to win this game 23-21. Ironically, my friend, on a Matt Gay last second field goal. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking it's going to take a final drive, Jayden Daniels masterpiece as well. I don't have a score for him yet, but thank you for coming on today, for getting you through your ride to the park. If you still got enough service left, let people know where they can follow you, Lake.
I appreciate that, man. Always. You can check me out on social media, Lake Lewis Jr. on all formats. You can check out my show, Lake Lewis Jr. Show. It's on Radio 1. You can also subscribe to podcasts on any of the major podcast carriers. And then also you can watch it on YouTube. So subscribe to the Lake Lewis Jr. on YouTube on the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Also now on Tuesdays, I'm on ESPN Radio, Commander segment on there. So yeah, man. And then also big thing, for right now is CBS 6, on television as their NFL insider. And yeah, some more stuff coming up with the league real soon.
Hey, big news to come. Per usual, Lake Lewis comes on for a victory or misery Tuesday. Short week this week. We got to take him on his drive to BigBear.ai Performance Center. Get out there and get active, Lake. Hopefully, we're doing this again on Friday morning or Friday afternoon. Victory on me, victory on 3.